Well, we are halfway through the year. Welcome to June. Holy cow, halfway point of 2026. And typically, this time of year, agents and brokers sit down and true up or reconcile what was planned back in January or August if you are operating as an IO agent. But 2026, it just doesn't feel like a typical year. Maybe it's just me. I don't think it is though. It doesn't feel like a typical year. It feels more like we are having an industry morality check combined with a foundation inspection. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to give you a simple posture for the second half of 2026 and 3 questions every agent should be able to answer as we head into the back half, holy Moses, of 2026. Let's get into it. Welcome to Renovating Real Estate. I'm Sandy McMaster, your host. And each week here, we renovate the way real estate operators think, decide, and execute. We do that using the identity ops method because most agents and brokers never truly operationalize what makes them unique and different. And we are on a mission to change that. Today, we are talking about mid-year checkups and one that isn't necessarily a scorecard. This year, it feels a little more like a foundation inspection because 2026 doesn't feel like a normal year, at least not to me. Maybe to you it is, but not from my perspective. And if you're still running your business purely on production benchmarks right now, you might miss the real problem forming underneath you, which stems from how you believe our industry should operate. And once you have come to your own conclusion, asking yourselves questions like, do you have a defensible posture when the rules might be, shall we say, a little unclear? Do you have language when consumers take out portal wars that I believe are coming, kind of already here? Do you have language when consumers take out portal wars on you? Do you have a way to explain what's happening so that the consumer's experience is better? Because we're living in an era where the industry is starting to mimic college sports. Maybe you guys have seen this recently. You know, the name and likeness things going on in college sports and the NCAA. There was a lack of leadership there. And, you know, you can draw the parallels yourself, but name and likeness, transfer portals in college sports, the whole what coach moved where thing, it got kind of chaotic. And the thing about college sports is it didn't just get messy. It got messy enough that people started asking for outsiders to step in. And I haven't double checked this today, but last I heard there was a bill floating around right now proposing guardrails up on Capitol Hill. Yeah, college sports. Just think about that for a second. College sports, Kalshi markets, and Congress. Just roll those 3 things up. That's comforting because when you want something simple and clear, you just call the government, right? Like, But here's why I'm bringing this up. Not because I care deeply about college sports, but go Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. It's a reminder. It's a reminder that when a system gets messy enough, or when consumers get angry enough, or when lawyers want another bite of the apple, someone eventually steps in. And usually not in a way that makes things cleaner. So the bigger question under the surface of every conversation right now is this: how should this industry operate, really? And what happens next is really on us, our agent behavior, our operator posture. How Do you advise, explain rules, and guide people when things are shifting constantly and maybe as clear as mud? Because I think halfway through 26, some people have forgotten what matters most. And that is this, that in the eyes of the consumer, we are not separate tribes. We are one industry. And that matters more than what a loud CEO with a big bullhorn may want to admit, because consumers don't experience good agents and bad agents as separate categories. They experience real estate through you and me, through us as one. They experience the whole thing through the last conversation they had, the last headlines they read, the last confusing moment they felt when they were trying to find a home, the last time they wondered, why does this seem so hard? So here's what I want to propose for a mid-year checkup. Yes, of course, look at your numbers, of course. But don't let that be the whole meeting. Because the second half of this year, and if not the second half of this year, definitely 2027, if things continue on the path that they are, I think it's going to demand something different from you. I think it's going to demand that you prepare for the coming consumer backlash over data, over listings, over access, transparency, control, all the stuff people don't fully grasp and understand because they don't know the inner workings of our industry. All the stuff people don't understand, they ultimately hold you and me responsible for because we're the ones they deal with, not a boardroom or MLS execs and all the, no, they don't deal with all of that. They deal with you and I. So if and when negative press heats up about the industry, about you and me, agents are going to need to have answers, ones that land very simply across a kitchen table or across a Zoom, and not a defensive rant. Answers that make it make sense to them, to the consumers. There are 3 questions you need to be ready for. Not someday, but sooner than later. Question number 1, why hire you? That's sort of a bellwether standard. Why hire you? Question number 2, how do you help me buy or sell better? And question 3, why is this so complicated? And that third question is the landmine. Because most agents can answer the first 2 with some level of competency already, which is nice, but it's not enough when people are angry or being given contradictory guidance. What's in their best interest? When people are confused, when people feel like they might be being played, I care doesn't calm a person down. You can't just say, hire me because I care. That's, especially if they're in the weeds of a chat GPT conversation, 15 different pieces of advice and headlines. I'll tell you what does calm them down, though, is clarity. A posture, your posture, that calms people down. A clean explanation. What you believe is true and from your fiduciary stance, that can calm them down. So let's maybe take some time here and actually talk about that third question. Why is this so complicated? And I want to say this carefully because the answer can't be, well, this is just how it is, or it's just how it is right now. That's not an answer that satisfies people. That's more like surrender. And it also can't be, it's complicated because you don't understand. No, we can't put it back on them because that's the fastest way to lose trust. The real job here is to become the kind of operator who can translate complexity into safety. to become the kind of guide who can say, here's what's true, here's what's unclear, here's what I recommend, and here's why. And by the way, this is where most people accidentally lose the plot. They think the mid-year checkup is about goals. But I think it's actually about standards. Goals are fleeting. Standards are a foundation. So you should have your own. Let me say it again. Standards are a foundation, so you should have your own. Standards survive scrutiny, questions, and consumer skepticism. As industry policies get challenged, consumers are not going to be looking around for nuance. They're going to go looking for somebody who can explain it without flinching. So here's a simple self-audit you can run before your broker check-in at the mid-year. Can you say, in plain language, what you believe about our current moment in the industry? What you will and will not recommend, how you protect a client's outcomes, and how you'll lead as things change live and in real time. You might have one listing that goes through change of rules. You should be ready for that. And this should not be like a manifesto. I might be talking to myself right there, but this does not have to be a manifesto or buried in a paragraph somewhere. I mean conversationally, in a way that your client can repeat to their spouse, right? You leave the house or you leave the Zoom, and they can go explain it to somebody else plainly and clearly. That's where trust lives. Repeatable language. So if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, this sounds a little intense. Yeah, it is. But it's also the opportunity for us moving forward, because as things unravel, get rebuilt, restructured, if public backlash heats up, the agents who can be calm, clear, and direct, they're gonna win. Not because they're louder or more strategic, because they're steadier and they have their standards. And they have something most people don't. They have an operating posture, a defensible one. So if you're doing your mid-year checkups and your calendar is filling up with, and brokers, you too, if your calendar is filling up with these kinds of conversations or team reviews, let's see where you're at kind of meeting. Do the normal thing, sure. Look at production, look at pipeline, look at the basics, but make room for this foundation check. Because I have a feeling it's going to come in handy sooner than later. So before I close, quick question for you. Honestly, if a consumer asked you today, why is real estate so complicated? Could you answer in 30 seconds without getting defensive, without blaming a colleague or ourselves, without sounding like a politician, or without making it seem like it's about us and not them? If the answer is no, that's not a character flaw on you. It's just a signal that your next best investment is not another top of funnel lead source. It's language. It's a posture. It's operational clarity. And that's what we'll keep renovating here. So, will the second half of 2026 reward the agent with the best production and stats? Sure. But It will also reward the operator who can translate complexity into trust. You can subscribe to Substack to read the full essay there. And if you want the tools behind the identity ops method, where we do create these postures and these operating standards, that you can find at identityops.co. I hope you found this useful. Feel free to rate, review, send it to a friend. I think this is worthy work as we crest into the back half of 26. I hope it's helpful, and we will talk to you next week. Until then, renovate wisely, my friends.